Well, we are learning more about 8 foreign nationals arrested in the United States this week with suspected ties to the terror group ISIS. Authorities arrested the suspects in Los Angeles, Philadelphia, New York City on immigration charges. A senior Homeland Security official tells CBS News that all 8 entered the country through the southern border and were released into the United States with instructions to appear in immigration court. They are now in ICE custody. CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins us now for our weekly national security wrap-up. Sam, the question that everybody is really asking is how these suspects were allowed into the country given their ties to ISIS.
Well, Lana, in my conversations with senior government officials, I was advised that these 8 Tajik nationals who had previously crossed our southern border were fully vetted and then were released into the homeland, had no derogatory information associated with them when they were released with a notice to appear in front of an immigration judge. What happened was that derogatory information on these individuals surfaced after they had been released. That is not unusual. Vetting is only as good as the information available at the time. And in this case, new information became available. Federal authorities leapt into action. The information was concerning enough. These individuals were taken back into custody. So in short, the system worked. What this episode does underscore is ISIS's continued capabilities to send and or recruit operatives here in the homeland. A senior government official told me earlier today that ISIS-K, or ISIS Khorasan, which is ISIS's regional affiliate in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and parts of Central Asia, remains on the top of the U.S. government's worry list. So going forward, we should expect government officials to pay particular scrutiny to single adult males crossing the southern border from Central Asia, and we should anticipate that federal authorities will try to ramp up collection on ISIS-K in Central Asia, Afghanistan, and Pakistan to secure the homeland, Lana.
Well, Sam, let's also talk about the ongoing discussions for potential ceasefire and release of hostages in Gaza. Where do things stand? Remember, these hostages were taken more than 8 months ago.
It's truly horrific to think about. And 251 hostages were abducted by Hamas as part of its brutal terrorist attack against Israel on October 7th. Of those 251, 105 hostages were returned to Israel as part of a ceasefire hostage for prisoner exchange deal back in November. There are about 7 additional hostages that have been rescued by Israel since October 7th. That includes a rescue of 4 hostages last Saturday during a really stunning operation by Israeli forces. During that hostage rescue mission last weekend, local Gazan authorities indicate that over 200 Palestinians were killed. We don't know how many of those individuals are militants. And at this time, about 120 hostages remain in captivity. A Hamas official this week said he doesn't know how many hostages are dead or alive, which is an astounding and awful statement. Israeli officials have indicated that at least a third of the remaining 120 may be dead. So now all eyes turn to the ceasefire deal, which would release hostages in 3 phases. The deal that President Biden laid out would allow for the release of women and the elderly in the first phase. The second phase would include the release of all remaining hostages that are alive. And the final phase, the third phase, would include the release of the remains of hostages that died in captivity. So now all eyes are on whether the United States and other mediators can bridge the gaps between the original proposal and Hamas's response, and many are praying that an answer comes quickly.